Hey guys, just finished watching Legends of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 12, The Curse of the Earth Totem. This episode was really interesting. It was an interesting episode. It wasn't my super favorite episode, but there wasn't really a bad episode type thing. So it really was an okay episode. I guess I give this one like an 8 or a 7.58 type thing, maybe a 7.7. So it really was an interesting episode. It was quite fun. There's a lot of things here, a lot of notes to talk about. So let's jump into the first part. We get Wally West doing the voiceover for the previously on Flash and Legend of Tomorrow. That was interesting with that. Although, so when that happened at the beginning, I was like, oh, cool. It means he's going to be in this episode a lot, a key part in this episode. And really, it was fun having him in here, and it was cool having the things that he did with him and setting him all up with his relationship between Rip and stuff, meeting Rip for the first time and seeing them hang out for the episode was quite interesting. But at the same time, they didn't do anything. They just hung out and did stuff. They got his jacket. They got Rip's jacket. They took a time travel device from Gary, and they took his phone, and that's it. And they got drunk. They really didn't do much. So that was kind of I would have liked to have seen him do something a little bit more important. The whole point of him going on, he left the Flash team because he didn't feel like he was needed there or anything. So he's on his journey to find himself. So I don't see how, if the Legends need him, if the Rip Hunter needs him, how does that not? I guess to him, he doesn't see that as, someone needs me. That's just where I want to be. I want to be somewhere where someone needs me. The whole point is that Jesse left him. Jesse Quick left him, and she doesn't need him. And the Team Flash no longer need him because Barry's back type thing. He was needed all between seasons after Jesse left, and in between season while Barry was in the Speed Force, he was needed. He was pretending to be the Flash. He was being Kid Flash. Everyone loved him. He was the star of Central City. And now that Barry's back, they don't need him anymore, which I don't know, if it's unclear whether or not Wally knows or not that Barry was in prison, although he's out of prison now, so it's kind of moot whether they find out or not that he was in prison for a little bit. But it just seems like now here's an opportunity for him to pick it up, and he doesn't take it. I guess they're going to build up that relationship a little bit more of the Wally West and Rip, but I guess there's no time-sensitive matter if Rip is taking his time to kind of get Wally to help him do his own thing. He needs Wally's help to do some stuff, and I liked a little bit of the kind of flashback that they did where Rip kind of talks about a bit of the stuff, how he betrayed people and stuff, and it got people killed, and it brought back Damien Dark and stuff. I think that was quite cool with that, which I guess it kind of feels like a little annoying that they're still doing Damien Dark, but for what it's worth, it's okay. It's interesting with his daughter. So we get the Wally West recap. That's cool, and then we get the Blackbeard. Finds that he has Earth Totem. He ends up burying his girlfriend or whatever with it. And then Ray ends up telling everyone that they're looking for the other totems to find the Earth Totem, find out what the sixth totem is. So they know about all 5 of them, but they didn't know there was a 6th one out there. And Ray says that the Fire Totem is actually in Detroit, which is destroyed, and it's actually in Detroit with Zari, who's Amaya's granddaughter, but the good one, the one from the animated show, who is also on Arrow and stuff. So that's pretty cool with that, with her actual boyfriend. So it would have been cool to see reference to that, but I guess they couldn't get the actress back. We couldn't see anyone. I think it would have been cool to see if we actually had gone to Detroit and seen that, maybe make that an episode, and then maybe see some of the characters from Vixen. But if I'm not mistaken, the whole reason why they chose to have Amaya as Vixen instead of having the actual one from the cartoon is because that actress is busy on her own show doing that. So that's why she's able to do a little bit of the Vixen stuff, which don't take long, just voice acting, compared to being on the full season type thing, which she's busy with her own show. So I think that's kind of why maybe they didn't have that in this episode, but it would have been cool if they maybe split the episode or whatnot, maybe get some other characters from the Vixen show without actually seeing Vixen, and just say that she's off doing her own stuff, doing some researching some stuff, and they go and they get it, and he's gone. Even if it would just have been one scene, I think that would have been cool to see that. So yeah, we didn't get that, but there was a lot also in this episode, so I could see how that could have got cut for time-wise. And then we get Sarah and Ava go on their first date, and that kind of doesn't really work well. That was interesting with that, how they were going on with that. It's kind of fun with their relationship, how things go going with that. It's going to be quite cool to see how that continues on and how it affects things in the future. and stuff. And then we get Damien Dark ends up getting the totem. We find out that when they went to Detroit 2018, Damien Dark ended up being there and all that. And I think that would have been cool to see that. But like I said, I guess there was just so much going on in this episode. It would have been cool to see that though. But I guess it was cut for time. And the Legends go back to go for Blackbeard without Sarah, so they go to the 1717, looking for Sarah while Sarah's still on her date, and then we end up, but Gideon ends up telling Sarah that their Legends are there, so she ends up finding out anyways, but she doesn't do anything about it. And then we find out that Rip ends up finding Wally West in China. That's where they first meet. That's what we got the end scene in the last episode, which again was just interesting, was cool idea, but it just didn't go anywhere in their storyline. I don't see where it's going, and what is the threat that Rip knows about that's so bad that he needs Wally West's help, and how come there's no time pressure manner? He has time to waste a day and just get drunk and hang out with Wally West. How important is Wally West for it to go down like that? And how come, he can't just kind of say, hey, I need your help type thing, and just, I need your help type thing. I don't see where things are going and how he's able to take his time to do that, I mean, just drug, I don't know, it's difficult to drug a speedster because her metabolism is so high, but knock him out somehow, take him and time travel and force him to help you. I don't see why there's no reason for Rip to do that. Is there a time sensitive manner? What is the problem? That's really going to be fun to see where things go with that, and hopefully we get to see building up, as Rip puts it, building up to Wally West becoming a legend. And I think that would be really cool. I think giving Wally West a chance, a few seasons on there, and then having him come back, give him like 3 or 4 seasons, or maybe 5 seasons on Legends permanently, and then have him go back to Flash once he's had all that experience on the Legends doing different things. I think that would be way cooler, and he could bring some experience, bring some new skills, and bring some new things that he learns throughout a few seasons of Legends. I think that would be really cool to see that, how we play with that, especially if he has become a permanent member of the Legends, when the crossovers happen, stuff, and they meet up, type thing. I think it's really going to be cool to see those interactions when he meets up with Barry and Iris and Joe West and all that stuff when those crossovers come. If he becomes a Legends member, I think that'd be really cool. And then we can also build up to the other characters like Thea. I really want Thea to become a Legends Tomorrow member, become a Legend, and that would really be fun to see that, because those two characters were not doing much over on Arrow and Flash, and now on here they could be really useful and really interesting to mix things up. But having Wally West as a speedster would be really cool and nice and powered, because now that, like as you keep saying, now that Firestorm's gone, we need another big gun. They don't have a big gun. The biggest gun right now is the Atom, and he's only, he shrinks all the time, but he's only grown really big to be the big gun, like twice now. Even once he did it with his big hand in that crossover during the most recent crossover, Earth X, and then once he got big, and then another time he got big, I think. So he's only ever done that for a few times. So I think having the Speedster would be a lot easier to have him as a big gun too. It's probably special effects wise for the show and budget. Then we find out that Sarah has played Peter Pan in a high school or middle school. In school, she played Peter Pan on stage. That was quite funny tidbit for that. And that would be funny if we ever went back to that time in school. That was interesting. Then we find out that the Rave Rider is affected by the Bermuda Triangle. Now that's interesting to see. That would be cool to see if we get Constantine back and have Constantine involved with the Bermuda Triangle. Would he be able to put something on the ship that would stop it from doing that? I think that could be really cool. And with all this magic talk, it would be cool to see other characters like Zatanna and maybe like Dr. Fate, like he keeps saying. Dr. Fate exists in this universe if you connect, since Matt Ryan, since the Constantine show is now connected to the Arrowverse, and in the first episode of the Constantine show there was the helmet of Naboo, which was a prop actually made for Smallville, and they probably reused just as an Easter egg for that show. So I think it would be cool to see that pop up here. I think it would be really cool to do that. Maybe Damien Dark gets all of the totems and tries to put them together into some sort of Infinity Gauntlet type thing, and then they have to put on the helmet of Naboo, and I think that could be really cool to see with different characters putting that on and see how that goes and how that messes people up and being stuck as the helmet of Naboo and all that stuff. It would be really cool to bring that on into this storyline, especially with Mullis involved. Having the Lord of Chaos would be really cool to have on their team. And then we have Damien Dark ends up taking Amaya's totem, and that's interesting. That he just literally takes it off of her type of thing, really easy for him, especially with his powers. And then Wally West and Rip get drunk together, and again, it just doesn't go anywhere. They get the time traveling stuff, they're getting some things to go do stuff, but they don't end up doing anything. So hopefully they actually do stuff in next week's episode. Then I won't mind it that this was only one episode of this. It's just if we get another episode where their storyline feels like it's just being dragged on. This is their storyline, but we don't want to have it. We don't want them to do it until this episode. So for these episodes, we want them in there, but we're just gonna give them wastes and stuff, and then blah blah, and do the whatever until they do it. So I hate that they're doing that. They're just kind of stretching out their storyline for no reason. So hopefully they actually do something meaningful, something important and fulfilling or something in the next episode, because otherwise they're just kind of just doing nothing. To see that would be quite cool. Then we get Amaya and Rory get left in 1717. Then they end up getting rescued later on, because the Wave Rider gets attacked by what's his face there, Damien Dark, with cannonballs. I don't understand how a futuristic ship like that doesn't have shields to defend against cannonballs from the 17th century. And I don't think that the cannonballs from 1717 could be fired that far. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the ships would just kind of go real close to each other and be shooting real close at each other. They're not, shooting, kilometers away at each other or yards away at each other type of thing, and hitting at that, being able to aim so much with that old technology. So that kind of threw me off in that idea, but I kind of just ignored it, just pushed it away. But still kind of bothered me a little bit, just the fact that it didn't make sense that the ship would do that. But we're talking about time travel and all this stuff, so it's okay. But it's just a little thing that kind of stood out to me. There's a little weird with that. And then we get Wally West and Rip in 1992 singing just karaoke in a bar. Who knows why they went to 1992? I don't know why they didn't just go karaoke in 2018. But it was really, really cool for that, so it's quite fun there. And then we get Sarah and Ava end up fighting Blackbeard and his men when I think Nate ends up taking Ava's time watch, whatever you call it. I'm gonna call it time watch, and they end up going back in time because the Wave Rider's still damaged from the cannonballs. And then Blackbeard ends up coming through the portal and stuff, and Sarah and Ava end up taking on Blackbeard and his men type thing, and they obviously win. Because the Blackbeard in this episode was kind of wimpy. He doesn't really hold up to his name and type thing. I mean, Rory Heatwave even says that in the episode, and it's like Blackbeard doesn't really hold up to his name at all. So that was kind of boring with that character, but it was okay. Different take on him than the usual. For there, and then we get at the end, Ray ends up using the magic gun on Sarah, the magic gun that Constantine told to use on Sarah, which is interesting that Ray ends up making a cure for the effects of it. Did he do that? And he does that because he feels guilty for killing Sarah Dark. But that seems to me like they're setting up an idea so that someone's gonna shoot Sarah with it when she eventually goes crazy and Melissa comes back. But then Ray already has a cure for that, so that kind of takes out the whole setup. Like, yeah, Ray has a cure for it, and we saw one scene where he was working on it. It's not like he's been working on this serum for a few episodes. Like, I need to know how to do this. You need to figure this out and save her, type thing. Now it's just like, now Ray has a cure for it. Didn't take him much long. Who knows how long it took him? It would have been nice to get a reference to when they make things. Obviously, we don't need to have scenes where he's just in the lab making these things over and over and over again, but it'd be cool to get a mention that, this took me 1 hour. This took me 2 days. This took me 2 weeks. This took me a month. Just say it in one word, and you don't have to show it or explain it or set it up through a few episodes. But even just say, it took me an hour, it took me 10 hours, it took me 20 hours, it took me 10 minutes, how long did it take him to make this cure would be cool to know, so that if he has to make another one in the heat of a moment to save Sarah at the end when Mullis is back and maybe Constantine's back, which I'm not mistaken, he should be back sometime before the end. But having to know how long does he have to make it? How long does he have to make it? If Mullis is inside of Sarah, how long does it take Ray to make another cure if he doesn't have any left from saving Sarah Dark. So how is that going to work with that? And then he ends up trying to save Sarah Dark, gets back Amaya's Totem, and then the Darks end up just keeping him, and Sarah is about to, save him and all that. So that's quite interesting with that, especially because, the whole thing is that Ray ends up feeling guilty for killing her because he met her as a young child for the few episodes. Was it not last episode, in the episode before with Constantine? They met her type thing, and they and Ray kind of felt bad because he knew her as a child, but when she ended up recognized him, she didn't make that connection. It didn't just push through, and was about to kill him with her magic powers. But then Damien ends up just kind of knocking him out. And from the trailers for next week's episode, we'll be having they have Ray in captive, so that's going to be fun to see where things go with that, how they play along with that. It's going to be interesting to see where things go, especially with that relationship and how things kind of continue on, especially with him saving her, but then them taking it into custody, taking him hostage and stuff, and how they play with that. And Ray is a smart guy. He must have had a backup plan. Does he have his suit somewhere? How is he going to get out? He must have had some sort of way out of there, other than just kind of the bargaining tool that he went in with. He has to have some plan there. Did he tell someone he was doing this? He knows. Rory knows about it because he told Rory about the cure. So I guess Rory is going to send the team after them, tell the rest of the team or something. But we'll have to wait and see where things go with all this. It was quite an interesting episode. Definitely can't wait to see where things go with this. And it looks like there's going to be another storyline for Wally West and Rip to do in the next week's episode. I just hope that it's kind of a little bit more... They'd actually do something in next week's episode rather than just do this. Because I didn't mind this episode and this one thing. It's just if in the next week's episode they do the same thing and they do nothing, they're just there, they're just hanging out doing a few little things, then that's where this kind of gets annoying, that they're stretching this out. So we'll have to wait and see how this works out. Hopefully they actually accomplish some things and do some things, Wally West and Rip, because that's really going to be fun where they do with that and get more of them, because that was really fun in this episode, and actually have them doing things rather than just kind of getting drunk and playing around type thing and getting a few things, because you really don't need to have that. They could have just said that, Rip escaped, got his jacket, and stole these three things, the time watch and the Gary's phone, all on the way out. They could have just said that in one word instead of having a full episode where their story was just getting those things. So I think it would have been better to do that. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Definitely can't wait to see where things go with that and how much we get, and maybe we can get Wally West closer to becoming a full-on Legends. So it's going to be fun to see that, and I definitely can't wait to see when Constantine returns. So let me know what you think, guys, about this in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Sometimes
Subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.